The first project that we did was like a joint venture with someone who had a land, wanted to sell that land. We finally managed to earn for that person around 4 times of what he would have otherwise made by just selling off the land.
Okay. A very great achievement would be that the 200 people got back to their home. One question I would like to ask, you made money out of those projects?
Very frankly, no, we didn't make any money actually out of those projects. Now when you're doing larger carpet areas, you have to rewrite your own standards. But I think once you understood a customer's mindset, at the core of things, customer is a customer. Customer is always right. And if you work with that philosophy, I think you can have a lot of happy customers.
Would you ever think about handing over a lock-and-key project to any contractor?
I must say that it is a very, very intense and a very, very stressful industry because it's not easy to, get someone to give up his or her home to you without taking any major amount of money upfront. You should only enter the business if you are really passionate about it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Speaking Real Estate Podcast. Today with us we have founding promoter of Platinum Corp Group, Mr. Vishal Ratanghayra. How have you been, Vishal bhai?
Hi Krish, I've been good, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me for this chat. Really looking forward to it.
It's a pleasure to have you here and give us your time. And how has the market been for your company?
Krish, the market has been good for everyone, I think. And everyone is doing a lot of work. Post-COVID, fortunately, the markets have become more consumer-driven. People are investing and spending more money. So as a result, I think overall, there is a lot of churning of money and which is opening up a lot of opportunities, not only just real estate, but a lot of sectors.
So Vishal bhai, normally we start off by knowing the education journey, the career journey of our guest. So we would like to know your education journey.
So Krish, I'm an architect by qualification. I did my architecture from Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute at Juhu.
Okay.
And since then, I've been working in the real estate space. I passed out in 2002. So it's been 22 years since I've been working as a real estate professional.
Why did you pursue architecture?
So it's a very interesting story. I had a friend in school whose father was an architect, and he had a beautiful house. So I think when I was in the 5th grade, I used to go to his house and I saw his house and I was amazed. I was fascinated. And I said to myself that, look, if you become an architect, you can also have a good house like this. So I think the joy of having and living in a good house fascinated me since the grade 5th. And I decided back then that I want to be an architect. Of course, I didn't know much about the profession then, but yes, it was long back.
So you pursued architecture, and I know that you are a first generation entrepreneur and you started up your own company. How did the shift from pursuing architecture to becoming a developer happen?
So my parents were doctors. They always wanted me to become a professional. I'm glad they didn't force me into medicine. But I had the opportunity to choose my own path. I pursued architecture, as I told you, that I was fascinated by it. Krish, moment I passed out, so I met my wife Nishtha in the architecture college. And by the time we completed the course, we decided to get married. And since we were getting married, I had to start earning. I didn't want to be dependent on my parents. And that's when I realized that being an architect may not be able to, make me independent very quickly. I had to look at the business side of this field. And that's how I started exploring, ways and means of getting onto the business side rather than a consulting professional person. And I decided to, start working with a real estate developer because we didn't have a family background. And fortunately for me, I got one of the best opportunities that could have been possible. I started my career with Mr. Nayan Shah of Mayfair Housing. He gave me this wonderful opportunity of working very closely with him. And that sort of, gave a very strong foundation and a good exposure to this business.
Understood. So you were working with Mayfair Group for a period
Yes.
of time. After
Yes.
that, how did you lay the foundation stepping stone for formation of the Platinum Corp group? Or maybe how did you acquire your first project? What made you took that big step?
So, again, at Mayfair Housing, I met my partner, Gurminder Singh. We were both colleagues at Mayfair Housing. And as we went along and we grew together, we decided to work together. And after Mayfair Housing, in fact, we did a couple of things together before we actually got down to start Platinum Corp. Platinum Corp, interestingly, was a architecture and interior design company which was actually founded by my wife, Nishta. And since we were getting into the business, we wanted a good name. And Nishta suggested, why not take this name forward? So we all decided that, we will take Platinum Corp as a brand forward. And that is how the name came, and that is how, we came under this umbrella of Platinum Corp. The first project that we did was like a joint venture with someone who had a land, wanted to sell that land. We advised that person not to sell the land, give it to us, said let us make a real estate project on it. And when we completed it, back in 2010-11, we finally managed to, earn for that person around 4 times of what he would have otherwise made by just selling of the land. So we had our first happy joint venture partner, customer, stakeholder. And thereafter, then we decided that, look, this time we've got an open piece of land in the city of Mumbai. May not be so. We need to, if we really want to take this business ahead, we need to focus on redevelopment. And then we started looking out for redevelopment opportunities. Again, typically the first society to give us work was difficult. It took us time to convince them, to trust us with their homes and their lot. But once we managed to do that, I think since then there has been no looking back. We also in between managed to complete few stuck projects. That would have been, the easy way for us to expand, we thought. And when we took up these stuck projects, we had more than 200 society members who were left in a lurch, homeless by someone. We got in, we started paying them rents, and we took up their projects. And in the span of about 4 years, we managed to turn around those projects and managed to complete them one after the other. So that actually gave us that, required push and the volume, so to say, initially. And banking on that success and on the basis of that credibility that we got, then I think a lot of societies, a lot of projects started following.
A very great achievement would be that the 200 people got back to their home. One question I would like to ask, you made money out of those projects?
Very frankly, no, we didn't make any money actually out of those projects. We kind of knew it at the back of our heart. We knew that we were doing this for 2 reasons. One is, to earn a lot of blessings from people. Second is to, give us that kind of a volume which would help us, learn more than earn. So I think that was a phase of life. It did the job that it was supposed to do. And things are good.
Another thing that I've noticed in a case where a developer took a stalled project in an area, and that project was stalled for 5 years, and that developer completed that project, and that developer established such a good goodwill in that area, he automatically got 3 to 4 more redevelopment projects within a span of 1 to 2 years.
Yes, that does happen. But also we are now also getting a lot of other stuck projects also, because Mumbai is, full of a lot of stalled projects, unfortunately. We do get approached by a lot of stalled projects. And we try to help them out as much as we can. Even if you're not able to take up those projects, we try to advise them and at least guide them as to what should be their next steps.
Moving on, since you have been focusing on redevelopment in the initial years of your company's growth, how would you select a project? What key factors you would look at before considering that this would be a good project for the company?
We are primarily operating in the western suburbs. So obviously, we are keenly looking out for projects in this belt, the area where we are operating in. Within western suburbs, the current focus is between Andheri to Bandra. And we keep evaluating potential redevelopment projects based on several factors, location, the size of the plot, the immediate surroundings. Sometimes it happens that we might just know a few people living on that plot. So through references. So there are a number of factors which go into selecting which project we do.
Would you say in a situation where, let's say, the location might not be in a favor, but you building a architectural or out of the state building in that area would change the whole surrounding and your building would be considered as a landmark? So does location play a part, or it could be a situation?
See, location is of course very important, but a slightly weaker location can be considered if the size and the shape of the plot is right, wherein we can actually make a building, as you said, which could become a landmark in that area. We've done a couple of such projects. And we are open to looking at such projects. But then we would rather do it on a little larger size of land than, try to do it on a smaller piece.
Platinum Corp focuses on which main micro markets in western suburbs?
We've got projects in Andheri now. Within Andheri, we've got them in Versova, DN Nagar, Lalubai Park area. Then we've got something coming up on in Villeparle at Irla on SV Road. Then we've got 2 ongoing projects at Khar. We've got one upcoming project in Bandra. We've got a very large upcoming project at Malad. So these are the regions where we are sort of focused.
In these areas, what kind of behavior do you observe in your target audience?
So the behavior we're dealing with 2 kinds of people under redevelopment. One is the members of the society which are already living there, and of course the potential buyers. So I feel that the behavior in terms of being a resident member of a society more or less remains same across all geographies, all locations. But the customer preferences change drastically, I feel. Customer from Bandra is looking at certain features or certain reasons for buying in that particular building, whereas a customer out of Andheri or Malad is looking at some other aspects of the project. The buyer's behavior does change, but I feel which is very natural because people are living in various regions of Mumbai for a reason, and because you would have observed that pricing more or less is sort of flattening out. There used to be a time 15-20 years ago when there used to be a huge gap between the prices in the northern suburbs of Mumbai and the western suburbs, or western suburbs and the south island city of Mumbai. But now that pricing gap is more or less reducing because people more or less know where they want to live, and they are willing to pay a good price if they find a good building in that neighborhood or that location. So one needs to be careful, as you rightly asked me, that if you're building in a particular location, your offering needs to change from location to location.
So Platinum Corp Group is doing projects in Bandra, which we would say would be luxury living, and your group has also done affordable housing in the past years as well. So what would be your take on having done affordable projects in the past years to now focusing on luxury projects? what changes you had to overgo, what things you noticed between the behavior of a customer from an affordable buyer and a person looking after a luxury house?
You're right. We started doing affordable homes in DN Nagar, Andheri West. The reason why they were affordable was because of the ticket size. Normally, you would imagine that an affordable housing project would be in the outskirts of a city. We managed to do it in the heart of the city, in a location which is like literally 5 minutes away from Juhu. And we managed to do it primarily on account of our planning capabilities. We managed to do apartments which were, very optimally planned, very less wastage. And that is how we could reduce the carpet areas, and that is how we could reduce the ticket size. And that is what actually made them affordable. It was affordable only in terms of the ticket size and the absolute value of the flat. But in terms of specifications, even back then it was premium. We've used all the premium materials. They're all air-conditioned apartments. We've used home automation. We've used the best quality of, fittings, fixtures, elevators, car parking systems. So they were affordable only in terms of the ticket size. Otherwise, as a feel, it gave a very premium feel. Post-COVID, what has happened is that the carpet area requirement of an average consumer, if an average property buyer, has gone up. And it's our duty to respond to those demands. And so now we have also started doing larger carpet areas. The ethos of the company was always to make premium quality homes. There was a shift in our mindset when, you sit down and actually make the plans, and we had certain standards like washrooms would be in our smaller apartments, the washrooms would be 6 feet by 4 feet. The bedrooms, the bigger bedroom would be 10 by 12 and the smaller one would be, 10 by 9. The living room would not be more than 10 by 18. Now, when you're doing larger carpet areas, you have to rewrite your own standards when you're doing the planning. And we've done that. We have an in-house architecture team which, does all this for us. And obviously, then we have started using the services of noted architects from Mumbai and internationally also. So overall, we've managed to do that shift gradually, and our educational background in architecture and planning has also helped us a lot.
Thing that I would like you to add, that how was a customer's behavior in buying an affordable house? Is it difficult to deal with a customer buying an affordable house, or is it difficult to handle a customer buying a luxury house?
I think for us, when we were doing these so-called affordable homes at DN Nagar, we found it extremely easy to deal with those customers.
Okay.
Because there was, what we observed was there was a very inherent joy in the eyes of the customer when they were buying properties with us. Purely because in that ticket size, the only other option for them was to look at the northern suburbs of Mumbai. We've had people who were otherwise looking to buy a home in Mira Road, but could manage to buy a house in Andheri West at the same value, the same price, which was, unimaginable for a city like Mumbai. Normally, as you grow and your area space requirement changes, and when you buy a new property in Mumbai, people have usually historically been moving northwards. Probably for the first time, we could manage to help people move back southwards and into locations which were otherwise very, very premium. So we saw a large volume in sales. We saw that we had a lot of happy customers. We saw that people were extremely proud of themselves, and they were also proud, and they made us also proud about our brand. People really loved getting associated with our brand purely because of this factor, I feel. And when you're dealing with a customer who's buying a premium or ultra premium segment house, he or she has a lot of choice. Whereas, for us, when we were doing smaller carpet areas, there was no competition, there was no choice. So premium customers have a lot of choice. They also have a lot of requirements. They have their own set mindset. So it does become little more difficult, and you need to be more careful while dealing with them. But I think once you understood a customer's mindset, at the core of things, customer is a customer. Customer is always right. And if you work with that philosophy, I think you can have a lot of happy customers.
The group has went a shift from affordable to luxury housing. Would you see again a shift again? Maybe the company ventures into affordable housing again?
So yeah, as I said, it is a developer's business to respond to the trends of the market. We've been seeing a trend where the area requirements are increasing. So we are providing for it in future, and I'm quite sure it will happen in the next 5 or 10 years, that probably there would be a shift back to smaller and compact apartments. The only reason could be that prices going higher from here. Once again, when the regular apartments or the larger apartments really become unaffordable, there would be a shift in the consumer buying pattern, and as a result, we will also have to shift and sort of improve our strategies of building and selling homes.
Fair. One thing that is would be contradictory would be that, yeah, obviously Bombay's pricing of the homes is always on a upscaling scale. But since the past 2-3 years, because of the 50% premium scheme that had came, there has been a lot of supply in the whole of Bombay. Do you see, because of that reason, the prices might go down in some particular areas?
So I think the projects which took approval under the discounted premium schemes are all ongoing right now. And as per my understanding, most of them are actually nearing completion or would get completed in the next 12 to 18 months. And thereafter, what you will see in terms of new launches and new deliveries would be those projects which would have actually taken approval post the discounted period, which by paying the full premiums. So I don't see prices going down for sure. In fact, we are seeing a slight support in terms of pricing, and the prices have already risen by about 5 to 10% depending on the location. And as we progress from here into the next year, I feel that prices might even get more firm. Purely not because the developers are wanting to earn more money, it is just because a lot of input costs, including premiums, have gone up drastically.
So the prices are going to increase. Cost of construction could be a major reason as well.
Cost of construction has increased drastically since COVID. I'm sure you also know that for a lot of materials, construction costs have gone up as high as 40-50%. So this has definitely translated into about 15 to 20% increase in the cost of construction overall. Post GST, obviously, there is a tax factor also which is increasing the cost. As developers, we don't get any input tax credit. So that cost is a pure burden on us and ultimately on the customer. So yeah, cost of premiums has gone up, cost of construction has gone up, expectations of landowners and societies have gone up. Because everywhere people think that, prices are going up, markets are doing well. COVID tha to markets were down, but ab bhav badh rahe hai, sales अच्छे hai. So why should we take anything lower than, before? So they are also increasing their expectations. And developers in this rush of, taking more and more projects are ending up, giving them or at least committing to them what they are demanding. So all this will actually put pressure on the prices, and I feel that they will eventually go up.
I'll shift to another topic. So, the Platinum Corp group was started as a two-man army, and eventually now it has grown to a 200 people army. What my question is, what personality traits you would see in an employee to hire him?
So most of our hiring has happened through referrals. It is either we've appointed people whom we have known personally because we've been in the field for a number of years, or it has been through people who are already working with us and their referrals. So we actually, to be honest with you, we don't stress a lot on experience. We don't really look out for talent which has worked with other developers. What we actually look at is how sincere the person is, how well educated the person is, how honest the person is, and how much willingness is there to learn. Because every company, every organization has their own way of running their business and doing things. So I personally feel that, we have our own unique way of running the business, and we want to work with people who get, who gel very well with this way of working. So, and I usually try to, interview most of the people. The final round happens either with me or Gurminder or our wives. And so that is how people are brought on board.
Platinum Corp is doing redevelopment and is also doing BMC, SRA, and MAHADA. So, what's your take on handling projects in three different segments?
So we started out redevelopment by doing MAHADA redevelopment projects. And so there is a natural acceptance for our brand when it comes to MAHADA redevelopment with societies and members. Of late, we are also doing a lot of SRA projects or projects under the DCR of 3311, which are where the approvals come from SRA, but they could be on regular societies or ownership plots. We've done a few regular pure play TDR or 33-7B projects, which are under the BMC. But what we've found is on account of the high cost of premiums and the lower FSI, most of these projects are not viable. So one needs to really, increase the size of the cake so as, it can get distributed properly and everyone can be happy. So that's the reason why we are doing a lot of 3311 projects.
3311 is SRA?
3311 is a project, is a scheme where you go to SRA for approvals, but it can be implemented on a private land.
Okay.
So we can do redevelopment projects under 3311 by going to SRA for some extra FSI.
Okay, got it. What would be your personal preference to SRA, MAHADA, and BMC?
So there is no personal preference as such. I think every project has its own challenges, and we are well equipped to take up projects under any scheme. It all depends on what do the residents on that piece of land or the landowner wants. What is their expectation in terms of their future area? What is the kind of building that they want? So it's a vision which everyone needs to evolve through discussions. What is it that they are looking out from redevelopment? Like some societies are very clear that we want maximum additional area. We are okay if the density increases. And likewise, there are societies which say that, look, we don't want to increase the density beyond a particular level. We are happy with lesser benefits, but we want to stick to a lower density redevelopment project. So it all depends from project to project.
We can rank these three different segments, BMC, SRA, and MAHADA, according to profitability, timelines, difficulty.
No, like I said, see, as a developer, and you also know this, there is, when we take up a project, invest our monies into it, approach banks and financial institutions for financing that project. there is a bare minimum margin of profit that we are wanting to earn. I would feel that irrespective of the scheme under which we are developing the project, a developer is pretty much making the same kind of margin. All the additional benefits that come out of various schemes are actually getting passed on to the societies, because they are the people who actually decide which scheme you can go for. And if they are allowing you to go for a scheme which lets you consume higher FSI, they obviously want a higher share. So our developer margins are pretty much the same across the schemes.
Platinum Corp Group has a huge in-house team of all the departments. What would be your take on having an in-house team doing the particular task versus giving that task to an outsourced team?
So we have always felt very comfortable and at ease by having a in-house team. And I think a very big reason, Krish, for that is we are ourselves real estate professionals. We have got educational background in the field. We have ourselves worked with other developers as part of their team. So we understand that, when work happens in-house, it is more efficient, it is more balanced. We have the flexibility of, sort of prioritizing various activities based on the requirement of a particular project. We have the flexibility of running some activity in-house at our, as per our availability of time. Whereas when you're working with outside outsourced consultants, a lot of time, good consultants are obviously busy with their other clients. So you really don't get, work done the way you want it or at your pace. And the kind of volume that we're doing and the kind of work that we're doing, the nature of business, especially redevelopment, requires a lot of iterations, a lot of interactions with, various stakeholders. So we've always found that, having this talent and this strength in-house puts us in a very comfortable and a relaxed position, when you're doing such large projects.
You have your construction team also in-house, managing all the purchases, requisition, inventory.
Yes. So construction is usually, the construction management is in-house. Construction is usually outsourced to professional contractors. The way we work is we outsource the RCC structure to a professional contractor. And then the finishing items are done in a combination of in-house and outsourced. A lot of materials and finishing items are purchased by us and given to the contractors. They do the implementation, and so it's a teamwork which happens when it comes to finishing. That way we can control the quality, the specifications. We have the sort of choice to change or upgrade the specifications at any given point of time.
So in the past recent years, the concept of lock and key projects has came out, where a developer gives out the lock and key contract to a contractor, where thereafter from the excavation till doing the finishing and handing over the keys back to the developer is the whole idea. Would you ever think about handing over a lock and key project to any contractor?
So I have personally never done that, and I'm not a very big fan of giving out lock and key contracts, primarily for the same reason that when you've given it to a lock and key contractor, then there is very little intervention that you can have in terms of selecting the materials or even controlling quality at a lot of times. Your team is also sort of, relaxed, and they don't get down to the details. Vis-a-vis, when we are buying the materials ourselves, we know where we are procuring the best materials from the best sources. I'm not in favor of actually giving out lock and key contracts.
There's a person who wants to become a developer and is coming out through the way of redevelopment, which is comparatively less capital intensive. What could be his initial sources of funds for him?
So of course it depends on the size and the nature of project, but presuming it's a redevelopment project and it's not very large. Let's say it's in the range of 800 to 1,000 square meters project, which is the size for a typical redevelopment project in Mumbai. The prospective developer would require 15 to 20% of the total cost as a part of his or her investment. I think the balance, the further 50-60% can be financed through any financial institution, and some good financial institutions do provide money as working capital against mortgaging the development rights. You don't necessarily need to have a collateral. But of course, it will also depend on who the person is, who are they financing, what is the institution, where is their money coming from, and all of that. And in today's market, I think you can safely rely on about 25 to 30% of your project costs coming out from sales. There are instances where people have relied more on collection from sales. And I think that's where people have sort of, made a mistake. Because even though you are able to sell well in this market, it still takes time for you to realize, those monies from the customers, because they in turn are financing it through mortgage finance. So I don't think you should rely on more than 25 to 30% from coming from sales. But yeah, if you really don't have a lot of capital of your own, then you better have backing of a good financial institution.
Would it be difficult for any person doing the project for the first time?
I would say yes. The first 1 or 2 projects could be difficult, but they're not impossible.
Got it. What would be your take on a person? How should a person lead a team? As you have grown from 2 people to 200 people in the span of 10 years, which would be a huge achievement.
So I think the only way any person can lead is by example. You have to know the job that first yourself before you expect it out of anyone else. And once again, I would say that our background has helped us a lot in that. So if I'm hiring someone for a particular job, it's important for me to understand what does that job or job profile require that person to do, so that, my expectations from that person also are accordingly tuned in correctly. It's important for any leader to understand the strength and the weakness of his or her team member. And I think it is also very important for any leader to imbibe leadership skills in the team member, so that in future, the team member or the colleague can also aspire to become a leader, which is in turn great, because if someone else is in your position and managing things which otherwise you were managing earlier, that will make you a greater leader and free up a lot of your time for doing greater things.
How much important is CRM?
Customer relationship management is the key in this business, because first of all, I think everyone around us is a customer. Even my contractor is customer, so to say, because somebody wants to really find out about a developer. The best way is to find out through his contractors or vendors. And when they speak well about you, it means that, you're doing things in the right way. So I feel customer relationship management happens across the board. While we do have a department which is called CRM, and presumably their job is to send emails and make phone calls and collect money. But I think there is a lot more of relationship management that they also in turn do with customers. And I've observed that a lot of times customers rely on the advices given by these CRM professionals more than, us. When they talk to us, they know that, you're talking to the developer. He may or may not be telling the truth all the time. But a CRM professional who's in touch with the customer develops a rapport, develops a relationship, and gets more relied upon. We have our own CRM team, but at the same time, we have imbibed this culture of 100% customer satisfaction, and we imbibe this culture right from the site supervisor to the head of any department, and including us, because ultimately the business is all about your customers. So yes, to answer your question once again in a line, is CRM is very, very important.
What would be your few things that you would have learned from the mistakes you made in your journey?
Few mistakes that we made, and I'll be honest about them, is that we've done projects on the basis of emotions, and that's where we actually didn't make money. Maybe it was required for us to do it at that point of time, but in future I would think twice before doing that. I think the second mistake we've made is we have looked around a lot and based our actions on what is happening in the surroundings, which I think I would do it differently now. And it's not important to really know what's going on around you all the time, and you basing your actions or your strategies on your surroundings. I think there is, for a city like Mumbai and a country like India, every person can have his or her own way of doing business, and that's how we would like to do in future.
So we shouldn't rely on emotions, and we shouldn't.
You should have your own direction set for yourself.
We shouldn't just look out at the surrounding and make our decisions.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to the younger generation who might be entering this industry? As one big drawback is that nobody can just start and become a developer because of how huge capital intensive the industry is. But maybe the working professionals who wish to work in this industry.
See, I must tell you, we've started ourselves with a very limited capital. So I don't think that you cannot really start a real estate venture. You need a lot of capital. I don't think that is true. Of course, if you're buying a land parcel in Mumbai, you do require a lot of capital. But for redevelopment, I think if someone is really inclined and hardworking, and let's say a society really believes in that person, so he or she can definitely get started with a limited capital. Thankfully, in India now, there are a lot of financing avenues available. Post-RERA real estate is being looked at as any other industry. The standards of developments has improved. There is a lot of transparency. So with a support from any financial institution, I think one can do the real estate business with a relatively lesser capital as compared to before. But having said that, I must say that it is a very, very intense and a very, very stressful industry, because it's not easy to, get someone to give up his or her home to you without taking any major amount of money upfront, vacating the plot, giving to you for redevelopment, then you going and getting all the permissions, arranging for the monies either through your own investments or bank financing, managing the local environment, putting up construction, selling, completing the project, taking OC, handing over, keeping the customers happy, and then making sure that that building, is, serving for what it was built for the next 30, 40, 50 years. So it's I would say it's one of the most difficult industries. And the only thing I would say is for someone like you, you should only enter the business if you are really passionate about it. Don't do it for sure if you think you can make money. It may be many years before you actually start seeing the color of money in this business. Definitely don't do it just because you have a real estate background or a family in real estate. Do it because you really are passionate about dealing with people to begin with. Do it because if you are passionate about design, about construction, about sales, customer relations. Do it only if you think you have a passion for all of this. Otherwise, it can get stressful. Yeah.
So that's all for today's episode, and it was lovely having you over here and sharing your insights. It gives me more knowledge and helps me understand the business in a better way. And I hope the ones watching there are able to extract more and gain more knowledge and learn from you as well.
Thank you, Krish. Thank you for having me. It was lovely talking to you.
I hope we wish to have you again soon.
Surely. Thank you.